Pick on him.
All right, it's 6 p.m. Monday, November 24th. We'll call to order the Mount Pleasant Special Called Meeting of the Planning Commission. We will have Mr. Hollis do the pledge and Ms. Johnston do the invocation. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we just come before you tonight with great thanksgiving for all that you've given us, for all the blessings that you've given this community. I just thank you for our staff and for our first responders. And I thank you for all the folks that are here tonight, because whether we agree or disagree, it shows that we all care about Mount Pleasant. And I just thank you for that and for the community that we have here. Really wonderful people. God, I pray that you be with us as we just have discussion and we listen to each other. And I just pray that you will also get us all home safely. In your name we pray. Amen.
We got everybody here tonight. There's no approval or correction of previous minutes, no unfinished business, no special reports. Let's move to new business. Whoever wants to start with the new business.
All right, I'll start if it's okay with y'all.
Absolutely.
So tonight, the City of Mount Pleasant Planning Commission will meet to consider and hold a public hearing to gather information from the public on a revised request for annexation by owner consent of approximately 117 acres on Old Zion and Trotwood. The annexation is revised to include a portion of Old Zion Road extension and to exclude any portions of the properties that are in the city limits of Columbia. The Planning Commission will consider providing a recommendation to the City Commission on the revised annexation. So annexation revises the municipal boundaries and therefore the zoning map. So the revised proposed boundary comes before the Planning Commission for consideration of a recommendation. Importantly, this Planning Commission has already considered and provided a negative recommendation for the proposed zone of R3 for the property if annexed. So this is just for the revised annexation, a change of the boundary of the property proposed for annexation. Okay, immediately following the conclusion of the above, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on the revised plan of services for the area proposed for annexation. The Planning Commission will consider providing a recommendation to the City Commission on the revised plan of services. So before any territory may be annexed under this part, the governing body of municipalities shall adopt a plan of services establishing at least the services to be delivered and the projected timing of the services. Before the adoption of the plan of services, a municipality shall submit the plan of services to the local planning commission for study. The planning commission will hold a public hearing on that. That's what you're doing tonight. So this plan of services has been revised to include the just legal description of the portion of Old Zion Road extension that has been added as part of the proposed annexation. There's also, I believe it's section 7 in the plan of services that outlines exactly how the city would maintain that road. And then there's also a revised exhibit to the plan of services dealing with Columbia Power and Water. So all of those are outlined in the resolution, all of the changes. So the purpose of this public hearing is to allow the public to address the Planning Commission on the annexation and the plan of services. The commissioners will listen to the public comment and use the information they learn to inform their final recommendation on the matters under consideration. We expect this public hearing to be civil. To that end, keep your comments respectful and directed towards the issues and not on planning commissioners themselves. For the benefit of everyone, the Planning Commission is setting forth the following rules. Number 1, each member of the public who has signed up to speak will have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and address. Number 2, if 4 or more people would like to nominate a representative to speak, the commission will allow the representative to have up to 10 minutes to speak. Number 3, persons are not allowed to speak more than once. 4, interruptions or applause from the audience are not permitted or helpful and could result in you being asked to leave. Number 5, the planning commissioners will not rebut public input or answer questions. 6, the planning commissioners will listen respectfully and will take the public's comments into consideration when making their recommendation. So procedurally, y'all will have 2 public hearings. Public hearing number 1, annexation. Public hearing number 2, the revised plan of services. Chairman Hunter will open and close each public hearing. He will also call off the names from lists. There are 2 sign-up lists. When your name is called, please come to the podium. If you're nominating someone else to speak, this is the time to make that announcement. If someone has already made the comments you plan to make, please consider simply stating your agreement with previous comments. So I can have more comments after you close the public hearings, but that's all I've got unless you have questions for me.
Anybody have questions before we open it up? All right, we'll open up the public hearing portion of the annexation request. And Mr. Lacy, I believe you're the first one to sign up, sir. If you come forward.
I signed up for the annexation, but a few subjects. Robert Lacy at 1201 Shackleton Drive in the city of Mount Pleasant. I've been attending these meetings since the first planning commission on July 8th in reference to the 247 homes. I'd say in all that time, I've listened to a lot of claims from commissioners, and I'd like to cover a few. First one is growth is coming whether we want it or not. While that is true, it is the responsibility of this commission and the city commission to decide where, when, and how that growth happens. And those decisions should be made taking into account the concerns of citizens who elected them and the current zoning ordinances, which you all voted against this according to the zoning ordinances on July 8th. Next one is the schools are overcrowded. Elementary is 86%, middle at 71%, and high schools at 65%. Commissioner Groom stated that half of the 765 homes that are going to be built on Trotwood would be zoned to Mount Pleasant schools. There are currently 80 to 90 homes being built in front of Grace. I was told by a police officer of the city that 300 homes are slated to go in behind the TSC that's being built. That's roughly 750 homes, so there goes your schools having room. And according to Mr. Grooms, Mount Pleasant is not slated to get a new school anytime soon. We're 5th on the list. So imagine how long it's going to be before we get a school built. In the meantime, we'll have portable classrooms sitting around our schools. Also heard these builders build quality homes. I grew up with a stepfather who had his own construction company. Mayor Builders is no better and no worse than any other builder. You can Google Mayor Builders and find plenty of complaints from people who live in their homes. There's no way you can build quality homes when you're slapping them up in a 1 week to 2 week span of time. Just because they put up wrought iron signposts means nothing when you can buy it in bulk. It's easy to put lipstick on a pig. Finally, the step system. Edge Wastewater is not a new company. It is Adinas. The gentleman who spoke to you all on July 8th stated customers would get a bill from Edge Wastewater or Adinas. He mentioned Adinas 4 times while he spoke to you. Adinas has 34 systems in Wilson County alone, and half of those have failures. A letter has been sent to the county commission and to the city government of Mount Pleasant stating that they need to have their permission looked at and possibly revoked to operate in Murray County. This committee.
Thank you, Mr. Lacy.
Thank you.
Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jeff Brewer. Address is 4164 Williamsport Pike. I am a citizen of Murray County. I'll try to be brief on this. On August 19th, I wrote an email to the mayor and all the members on the city council, and no one responded to me except Chairman Knowles, Commissioner Knowles. She did, and I thank her for doing that. And in her brief email, she said, "Thank you for taking the time out of your day and sharing your concerns about the proposed annexation. I appreciate your feedback because it is crucial in making an informed decision. Many citizens share similar concerns regarding the historical land usage, traffic, and the lack of infrastructure in the identified area. Rapid expansion can strain the capacity of existing infrastructure, potentially leading to a decline in service for everyone. The focus should be on our resources and maintaining/improving what our city currently has.
I voted no to this annexation at the city commissioners meeting last week. I voted no, this is key. I voted no because I am considering the citizens' feedback in my decision. My stance has not changed and I still vote no. Thanks again for your support, your focus, and your engagement. Have a great day. The reason I bring that up is because much has been said about the mayor's .007. And everybody here, I'm assuming, grew up in America. And we understand in America, our system of government is that the elected officials govern with the consent of the governed. They govern by the consent of the governed. That's not happening here. The mayor has his figures, his .007, but if that's accurate, then how do we explain Mrs. Knowles voting no because she says that she's listening to her constituents? That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Burr. Mr. Rainey, Joel Rainey? Nothing? Okay, thank you, sir. Justin Kropf? Mr. Kropf?
I reserve my comments for plants.
Okay, you've signed on that one too. Okay, Mr. Evans?
I'd like clarification on the nomination policy. If I want to nominate someone else, is it specific to each of the public hearings separately, or is that? Okay.
Yeah.
I did not sign up on that.
Y'all could talk at each one.
Yeah, I don't think I signed up on the other one because I didn't really have anything to say about that one. My name is Brandon Evans.
Address, please.
My name, I live at 203 South Locust Street, right around the corner. I appreciate you guys having this meeting. I don't want to go at length to things that you guys have probably heard ad nauseum over and over and over again. Everyone here knows the details. You've seen the paperwork. You've seen all the things that have been put out there. So me just regurgitating that to you again is not really going to make, I'm not going to say it won't make a difference. It'll tell you that somebody else also has seen that and has an opinion on those things, but it's not really going to move the needle on what you've seen and how you understand the data. I think it's very clear that some data that's been put out there is probably inaccurate and that it is a very sensitive matter for the community. I've seen sentiment specifically from Commissioner Pam Johnston and the city commissioners that they've all said that they have been considering this very carefully and they're very concerned about what the people say. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend and say that people are lying or they're being just misleading. My only comment is that this, to me, having only lived here for 2.5 years, this is about legacy. This is about the character of Mount Pleasant. And whether or not this is the good for Mount Pleasant or not, it is the responsibility of a commission like this and the city commission to make that argument to the people of Mount Pleasant. And I'm here to say that I don't think that argument's been made. And because it hasn't been made, I believe the sentiment is true that the people right now, whether they are understanding it correctly or not, are against this for multiple reasons that will have been said over and over again. And so the question is, do you want your legacy to be a commission and a government that says what the people say doesn't matter? We're going to do what we think is right, and it may be right. Or are we going to do something that shows that we are a government of the people, by the people, and for the people? And we have to do a better job at communicating with our constituents on what is the right thing to do, because with all the information that's come out, I don't believe that has taken place. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Pomaski? Pronounce that correctly? Oh, pretty close. Okay, thank you.
Danette Pomaski, 796 Redwood Circle. I am in Columbia, but I am a Mount Pleasant taxpayer. I have not spoken at any of these meetings. It's not my gig, but I just want to say that I'm against it. I am actively against it. I have talked to everybody in my neighborhood, which is about 50 some odd people, signatures. They're against it. Just putting it on record. No to the annexation. No to the R3 housing. Thank you.
Mr. Charles Craig?
Charles Craig, 6504 Breckenridge Cove. I wanted to talk about this step system. It's the most important thing about this. And if it doesn't work, then the development will fail. I just had a bunch of questions. You may already have the answers, but I had some questions. Has Edge Wastewater proved they can install this step system? Have they shown you records of other systems they have installed and they have been working for years? Have they shown you the installation plans of the proposed depth system? Did a local soil scientist that knows the soils in this area, how much water they can absorb, determine this would work? I talked to a soil scientist and he says for it to absorb 3,000 gallons to the acre, the soil would have to be absolutely perfect, no rocks, not a real rainy season, and then it'd be close to whether it could absorb that amount for ages to come. So you're talking about 27 million gallons of effluent a year to be put on this land. That's a lot to ask for that to absorb it. What would the monthly bill be? It would have to be expensive because they would have to recover their costs for installing all this stuff. And the filters and everything involved, the pumps, the utility bills and everything. So it would be it wouldn't be cheap, I wouldn't imagine, for the bill for each month for the property owner. And another thing you come up, what if some kids decide they want to throw something in the septic system? Something that could get down there and plug up the filters. I mean, you 247 houses, there's no way. But it should that happen, plug them filters up, the whole system shuts down. There'd be nowhere nobody could use any water. So anyway, if the soil proves out not to absorb this 27 million gallons a year, then you're talking about 10 years from now before this would probably happen. I read this Exhibit F. Total Edge Wastewater said, we are willing to provide sewer service to the development according to the specifications, rules, regulations, and requirements of the Tennessee Public Utilities Commission and their public utility company, which means they're leaving all local people out of it as far as that's what it looks like there. So anyway, don't leave possible trouble to the following generations and vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lee Burke.
Someone else speak on my behalf next.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Shannon McGarvey.
Thank you. I'm Shannon McGarvey at 6413 Trotwood Avenue, which is at the intersection of Old Zion and Trotwood. I live there with my husband and my 6 children, and we homeschool to the glory of God. And we just wanted to make our voices heard that we are against any change happening across the street from our house. I'm specifically concerned about traffic and road safety, as I care for my children's lives, obviously. And we've only lived there for 3 years, and we've seen probably 20 accidents in front of our house from that intersection. I'm worried about what all of those more cars would do. Children run very fast, and I'm already concerned about the speed limit there. And we love this community. We love being so close to Mount Pleasant, still being in Columbia and having our dance studio next door and gymnastics down the street. We have just under 3 acres. We try and raise some of our own food and really focus on teaching our children to be God-fearing Americans. We want this to be somewhere that they want to live the rest of our lives, that I could see the, second and third and fourth generation still here in this great area. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mark Henderson.
Sorry, I'm after.
Sorry, we'll yell a little louder then.
Not necessary. We have a nice big TV out there.
Yeah.
I'm Mark Henderson. I live at 501 North Main Street in the Historic District. And I'm going to talk to you a little about history. First of all, the commission rejected the request by an auto parts store to put a big giant place across the street from my house for the reason that it was a historic district. And I want to remind you all of that, and I appreciate that. And I thank heaven that that did not go in, because it would have ruined the entire character of the historic district and of Mount Pleasant in general. But in addition, what we have here is it's not an official historic district, but it is well known as the battlefield. And what, 151 years ago today, that's where they were, right up on this plot of land we're talking about. And so it's across from the St. John Episcopal Church, beautiful old church up there. And they're going to go in there with bulldozers and they're going to put 247 houses, ruin the character of it. They don't have a real plan of services that can work. This step system, no way. It's just not going to work. I work with the Mount Pleasant sewer system. Okay. We came up with a plan. We executed the plan. It has worked thus far. It will continue to work. But this kind of half-baked system that they've got going in up there, it's just not going to work. And you've been told that by TDEC, you've been told that by experts, and I just can't see any way that this project will work, will benefit the community. I'm all for growth. I want Mount Pleasant to grow, but it needs to be responsible growth, and it needs to be carefully thought out. And I want to see the tax base grow. I want everybody here to be happy and get along. And what has amazed me about this entire thing since last summer, we have found people who are Democrats, who are Republicans, who are independents, all coming together and basically agreeing on the same thing. No, no, no. And that is all I wanted to say tonight. So you can take me off the plan of services. Obviously, I'm against the plan of services. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Thank you all.
That was the last person that signed up for this specific portion of this. If anybody else would like to speak on annexation now, you can. We'll get to the plan of services here in a minute. I know there's been a little bit of overlap. There's been some discussion about plan of services in this portion, but that's fine. We got one more like.
How's it going? Jason Fulmer, 7002 Hoover Mason Lane. And, I look around this room, I feel like the people have spoken. A lot of people here have taken time out of their day. Some of us work 10 hours. We're missing time with our family. We're missing time with our loved ones. We're missing dinner. And that's what this is. It's democracy. It's everywhere on the news these days how important it is. I feel like the people here have spoken. I feel like the constituency has spoken. A battlefield is more than just a place to hang a plaque and watch moss grow over it over time. Just be an empty field. It's a scar on the earth caused by the worst of humanity. And it's a lesson that we all need to learn, especially this time in this country right now. We need to look at this, teach our kids, let them know that we don't want this to happen again. Let them know the dangers of what these things can bring. I just don't feel like that place needs to be a neighborhood any more than the cemetery or the church across the street from it needs to be a neighborhood. I love this town, and I want to see this town grow, and it can, and it will. It absolutely will. But we just got to be responsible with it. Got to think about the history, preserve that, because pray to God we don't have any more battlefields around here pop up. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on this portion? We'll close the public comment on the annexation request. Do we need to discuss this one now, Corey? Do we need to just go right into the second?
Go ahead and have the second public hearing.
All right, we'll open the second public hearing and the revised plan of services. And first person to speak is Katie Martin.
I would like to defer to to speak for 10 minutes.
Okay.
I think that's what we're going
Yep. We got 2 or 3 people going to do that. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to pretty much have one person speak for most everybody for this.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's have at it. And
It's Dustin Kittle,
Okay.
and my address is 2279 Santa Fe Pike.
All right.
So I'm a environmental and agricultural attorney, and I'm sure that all of you recognize my name, even if you don't know my face. We served you guys so that you had notice as far as the letters that had went to the city commission and also the county commission. And there's a reason for that, and it actually applies to the plan of services. That really is the most critical role for the planning commission, is to evaluate this planning, is to evaluate the plan of services and to provide a recommendation there. And I'm not going to talk to the sentiment part of it. I think that those words have been well stated, but I am going to talk to the legal side of it. And, you know, in looking at this, and this is no criticism to the city attorney or anyone else that's been involved in this process, because I think some of these things have been hidden, quite frankly, from the city. We got retained in October, and it did not take us very long to find out that Edge had a history. And when we're talking about Edge, I'm talking about their principal, which is Richard Matthew Nix. And I brought that to the attention of the county commission. There will be an article that'll be in the Main Street Murray on Wednesday. The online version came out today. In that, Mr. Nix made the statement that he resigned from Adinas in October of 2024. Here's the problem. The first TDEC violation on the Adinas project related to Wilson County that they're involved in what will ultimately be a multi-million-dollar suit. The Sierra Club and the Southeastern Environmental Law Center do not get involved in a case unless they can absolutely crush the other side. The first TDEC violation was in 2021. When you go back and look at the TDEC correspondence to the officials from Wilson County, the designated contact for them to respond to those was Richard Nix, who is the person that came before the county commission and represented that Edge was a startup company. Listen, I could start a new law firm tomorrow. It doesn't take the history away from the past 20 years of how I've conducted business. And that goes especially when we're talking about TDEC certification. So as a part of the TDEC, the state certification, the principal that brings forward a company has to disclose to them his prior failures that he has had in any other company that they've been involved in. Richard Nix will have to disclose that to the state. And you might be saying, you know, have to disclose it to the state. Hasn't that already been done? I went to the Edge Wastewater website, and on the website it says that he's state certified. All of this has been represented that this guy's approved by the state, called TDEC. I did. A county commissioner did as well. And I'll tell you, it's going to be on the agenda in January of this year to revoke the county's authorization for Edge to be authorized to work in the county. And it's because what I would term misrepresentations. And part of that misrepresentation is that they do not have state certification. There has been nothing that has been approved by the state. And this is where I'll get back to the legal side of this. So your job as a planning commission in part is to put together the plan of services on this. Now, in modern times, we have deferred that out to developers to basically put that package together, but essentially that plan of services is yours. When you vote tonight on the plan of services on whether to recommend it, you're either saying it's proper and it's legal or it's not. When you look at the case law on this, you look at the statute, what that plan of services has to be is capable of being performed right then. There can be no contingencies. And here's the reason. What if you approve this and all of a sudden Edge Wastewater can't get their state certification? What are we going to do then? Then all of a sudden we've annexed property for R3 development under a plan of services that, at least as of right now, we do not know whether it can be performed. And you could talk to the county commissioner that contacted him. That county commissioner, when they talked to TDEC, they couldn't even talk about everything with Nix and about this process because of the pending Clean Water Act litigation. I was liability prevention counsel for Fortune 500 chemical companies 20 years ago on the defense side. And my job was to make sure that an environmental disaster did not happen. I went all across this country at their plants to be sure that nothing could happen that could impact other property owners.
And really, that's what we're looking at here. If this step system fails, and we already know based on the 2024 TDEC report that half of the step systems in this state are failing. You talk about a plaintiff's attorney's dream is for this to get approved, that step system to go in, and then you'll have your own suit under the Clean Water Act. You know, my smartest play on this financially would be to let it go through, not even get involved in this process, and turn around and when this thing fails, sue you over it. I'm not going to have to do that. There'll be a line of plaintiff's attorneys that's waiting to do that. And the reason is manyfold, but one of those is the plan of services can't be approved as it is. So if that is approved, then you are going outside the scope of your duties as far as a planning commission. And then ultimately, if the city commission approved it, it would be the same thing. When I was doing environmental defense work, though, we had to be certain there were no environmental issues where there was karst geography. Where we are in Murray County might be the most karst geographic location in the country. And I'll explain that just really quickly. It has to do with why we have all these springs. It has to do with why we have sinkholes. And by the way, there are sinkholes on that property. What happens when that sinkhole goes in? When that sinkhole goes in, all of a sudden you're going to contaminate the groundwater. Because we have karst geography, you could take a dropper of a red dye and I could put it in a spring that's coming out of the ground right here. It would end up, you would ultimately find it in the Duck River, theoretically, because we're all on the same aquifer. So underground right now, you've got all this system of pipes. And what that basically means is, when I brought this to the attention of the county commission, they said if the city of Mount Pleasant goes forward with this, and they create an environmental disaster that ultimately pollutes the drinking water supply for the rest of Murray County, who can we hold responsible? And that list would include the developer, it would include the wastewater services provider, but it also would include the city, and it would include the leadership that voted to approve it, so long as that attorney can prove that they did not follow the law on this. The case law says you cannot approve for annexation on the sole reason that there might be a financial increase as far as revenue that's produced. And that's the only reason that I've heard at all as far as approving it, except for that one person that said that they'd be happy if we got a Taco Bell. But I think the other 130 something people said they didn't want it. And I think that there are over 200 petitions saying they don't want it. And I think every single person that's got up here and spoken, from St. John's Church to attorneys to everybody else, has said no on this. So what I would ask is for this planning commission to send a message to the city commission that they're not going to be a part of this as far as things that would go against the law. And as an attorney that's practiced for 19 years, as an attorney that practiced for Fortune 500 chemical manufacturers, in looking at these exact issues, I'm telling you, you would be making a major mistake if this is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Anyone else want to follow up after that? Let's see.
I think covered it.
Nobody else wants to speak on that. We will close out this portion of the public hearing for the plan of services. We'll enter the discussion phase. Yes, as a group.
Yes, so after we have a resolution that's been provided to you in your packet, it's online as well. That resolution lays out, all the facts of what got us here today. Then at the bottom, in the part where you're actually making decisions, there are two boxes to check. The first one is, do you recommend or do not recommend the revised annexation of approximately 117 acres located off Old Zion and Trotwood Avenues, and it lists the map and parcel. But that's the first decision that y'all will make. And then the second one is about the plan of services. Do you recommend or not recommend the revised plan of services? And what I would like for you to do is, deliberate, and then when you decide to make a vote, I would like for you to vote on each one of those decisions before you pass the resolution as a whole.
So a question. It's not
whether or not we're annexing
Had too many
into the
time
minutes. Whether or not we approve this addition to what we've already decided.
So the annexation has been revised to include additional property. And it's, the revision to the annexation is the Old Zion Road extension.
Right,
And
I get
if
that.
you look at the pictures, it's like,
I get that.
okay, that's what you're voting on. Is the whole annexation as a whole revised. So do you recommend or not recommend annexation?
So it's not just do we recommend the revision or not, it's if we recommend annexation or not.
Yes, as
Okay.
revised.
I just wanting to be sure.
And then we have to go back and vote on the plan of service.
On whether you recommend or
Right.
do not recommend the plan of services as presented. Yes, sir. I understand it's hard to keep those things separated, but they are two different issues.
Well, I'll start.
Go
I
ahead.
mean, I was against it last time. I'm still against it. I think the city's going out of their way to create unnecessary problems with this. So I'm going to be a no on both. Mainly for the sewer system. I think there's some other things that could be tweaked down the road, but I mean, as written, the annexation and the plan of services just don't meet what I feel is the requirements for the city of Mount Pleasant.
I feel the same. Both of mine would be a no too. I think if we could do some stuff different, I might come around some stuff with the zoning and sewer and stuff like that. But as it stands right now, I'm a no on both.
My opinion, change either. Absolutely no.
We didn't hear. We didn't hear.
Absolutely no.
Yeah. I think he voted no on both items last time, so.
Well, I voted yes on annexation and no on the plan of services with the planning commission the last time that we voted. I still would like to see us annex that property, and here's why, and I have stated this previously. But, and you can, of course, I'm not God, I can't say this will happen, but it will be developed. And I think that would be an amazing addition to Mount Pleasant on the north side. And I think, and I know that if we were to annex it, we have some control over what happens there. And I think that would be a really wonderful addition for our town. I don't know that we're going to go through, I've learned more information on the step system just recently. I am concerned about what the gentleman brought up about the legal. I don't want to see us in the middle of something that's going to be a big issue for Mount Pleasant. But I do believe that having that land will be a good use. It can't be fully developed. It can only be have half of that land have homes on it. So it will not be a wall-to-wall, flap them up, or, we at least have some control over what happens. If we don't, and it gets built on, even though they can still only build on 50%, it could be, the houses that we see, and I see as I drive into Nashville every day, that are just slapped up, ugly, right on top of each other. And I would like for us to have some jurisdiction and then some ability to potentially ask for recognition of the battle that was fought there. It would be a decades-long situation in order to have that land declared a national or a state battlefield and have tourism and things like that developed. That doesn't just happen overnight. It has to be a whole, I've done some looking into that. There's a lot of work that goes into doing something like that. And if you want to do that, then it's about approaching the current owner and saying, would you be willing to donate the land? Or what would the price be for us, a fair market value, to purchase that land? And then go forward with how you would turn it into, I'm not sure what exactly, but a place where you would just be there and left to honor the battle that was fought there. And I appreciate everyone's feelings about that. But I do believe it would be a good addition to Mount Pleasant. So I'll leave that.
Any comments? I will say that the county regional planning commission's having a very important vote tonight too on their moratorium. So I would disagree that anybody's going to build on that anytime soon if we don't, but I'll just leave it at that. It's eventually, but not as written, not at this density, not at any of that. So Any other discussions? And let's see, we're resolution 2025 PC 13, considering a revised annexation and revised plan of services for the proposed annexation of property located at Trotwood Avenue and Old Zion Road by the city of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. We'll take a motion on whether we recommend or do not recommend that resolution.
Can you vote on the pieces first, like the annexation part?
That was the very first one that I just read.
Okay.
Okay, is that not the right one for me to read?
On
Oh, it's
C,
both together. Okay,
Yeah,
that's just
C.
the first part. So revised annexation of approximately 117 acres located off Trotwood Avenue is the first step.
yeah, recommend or not recommend?
Motion,
I make a motion, we do not recommend.
Second that.
let's do a roll call vote.
Mr. Hollis,
No.
Mr. Irvin,
No.
Ms. Johnston,
Yes.
Ms. Graham,
No.
Mr. Hunter,
No,
4-1 fails.
do not recommend.
Do not recommend.
Yeah, do not
Yeah,
recommend.
do not recommend. Plan of services. Recommend, do not recommend that city commission adopt the following revised plan of services attached here to and incorporated as Exhibit J. Do you have any further discussion on that portion of it?
It's not Exhibit J.
Okay, that's what it says here.
The plan of services that's been presented. It's in the
Presented.
packet.
Take a motion on the plan of services to recommend or not recommend.
Make a motion, we do not recommend.
Second?
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hollis.
No.
Mr. Irvin,
No.
Ms. Johnston,
No.
Ms. Graham,
No.
Mr. Hunter,
No.
5-0 does not recommend.
That finishes our business for tonight. Do we have any other general comments? Board, staff, anybody else?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.